The data is in. Phelps, 27 inches of snow for March 14th. 32 inches of snow for March 15th. Peshtigo, 28 inches of snow for March 16th. This is all Wisconsin. National Centers for Environmental Information, NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Here is the 72-hour precipitation map, snowfall analysis from the last 72 hours, Wednesday, March 18th. Here is 48 hours, 24 hours. Here is the current precipitation, pretty dry. A little bit of snow. A little bit of snow in northern Wisconsin. And the time here is 6:55 p.m. Now for the data here. I had made a video 3 days ago, so now the focus is 14th through 16th. Today is the 18th, but the data is only 2 days old. So here you can see at the top, Alma Dam, 16 inches for the 16th, 10 inches for the 15th, 23 inches at Appleton for the 16th. Those are some of the bigger ones. Bayfield Fish Hatchery, 27 inches for the 16th, and both the 14th and 15th have 24 inches. Black River Falls, 14 inches for the 16th, 11 inches for the 15th. Beaver Dam, 10 inches for the 16th. I'll skip this, and I'll try to go through it quickly. There's a lot of data here. Although not as much as 3 days ago. There were 57 pages 3 days ago. Now there's only 36. Not sure why. Cashton, 12 inches for the 16th. Chilton, 14 inches for the 16th. Clintonville, 13 inches for the 16th. Cowderay, 14 inches for the 15th. Lot of snow mid-March. 23 inches for the 16th at Denmark. 12 inches on the 15th at Durand. No data available. 30 inches, Forestville, the 16th. Now, I have not seen anything about this in the news yet, at least not on YouTube. The YouTube algorithm hasn't shown this yet, hasn't recommended it. It's not a big enough event, apparently. To me, it seems newsworthy. That's why I'm talking about it. Friendship, 17 inches on the 16th. 19 inches at Green Bay on the 16th. 16 inches. Green Bay has multiple weather stations, so one shows 15 inches or 16 inches on the 15th, and the other 19 inches on the 16th. A lot of places with no data. 26 inches, Hurley, on the 16th. 10 inches at Hillsborough on the 16th. 11 inches at Jefferson on the 16th. 37 inches, Lac View Desert on the 16th. 21 inches for both the 14th and the 15th. That looks like the highest one. Is that a record? I haven't done a search on YouTube if there's news about this, but it's not popping up on the algorithm. At least not yet. Sometimes there's a delay, but I mean, this is already 2 days old. Usually there isn't a longer delay than that. This is almost the same as at the end of February in Rhode Island. They had 37.9. They had shattered the previous record by, I think, 9 inches, something like that. So almost tied. Different location though, so 10 inches, Lodi on the 16th. 21 inches at Marshfield on the 16th. 10 inches on the 15th. I also recommend watching the previous video. For context, for this video, it was filmed 3 days ago, and in that video the data wasn't in yet. For the last 14th through 16th, that data wasn't in yet. But what it did show was 2,000 miles from east to west, or maybe even more because the map didn't include Canada. But, all the way from Seattle and all of Michigan, just snow, continuous snow, a big, thick, maybe 300 miles north to south. Although it didn't show Canada, so it could have been more than that. But 2,000 miles or more from west to east, assuming Ontario had more snow, then it would have been even more than 2,000 miles. And then if you count the previous day, which was not included in the image from the last video, then even more snow. So 10 inches for Mauston and Medford on the 16th. You can see them at the top of the screen here. A lot of places with no data. However, Mercer, 20 inches the 12th and 26 inches the 13th. It's curious because that wasn't in the previous video, even though that had data from the 12th and the 13th. It's always good to compare data from 3 days ago to the present. Not sure why it's not the same. For the 20th, 16 inches for the 16th, Minocqua, and also the 15th, 16 inches. 14 inches for Montello on the 16th. 12 inches, Neilsville on the 15th. And again, conspicuously, a lack of data. Maybe it's a delay. I don't know what's going on. No data. This is page 22. 36 pages in total. Oshkosh 15 inches and Owen 14 inches, both on the 16th. I already read this at the beginning of the video. Did I mention the 26 inches on the 13th though? I don't remember the previous video having such a high number. Maybe the data was unavailable at the time. I'll have to recheck that and compare the previous video to this video. Also 18.5 inches on the 13th for Pence. That's higher than was shown in the video, which has not been posted as of this recording, but it was filmed 3 days ago. I'll have to recheck that though. Page 24. A lot of data unavailable. Also a lot of data unavailable for page 26. Page 27, 16 inches for Rhinelander on the 16th. 20 inches for Rice Reservoir Tomahawk on the 16th. 14 inches for Ripon on the 16th. And Rice Reservoirs 13 inches on the 15th. Notice there's often more than one weather station for the same town. 23 inches for the 16th at Rocholt, and 11 inches on the 15th. A lot of data missing. "28 inches on the 16th at Shawano, 10 inches at Sheboygan, and 24 inches at Shiocton on the 16th. 12 inches at Shawano on the 15th. Almost done here. A lot of data missing for page 30. 14 inches at Stratford here at the bottom on the 16th. 11 inches for Stevens on the 16th. Speeding right along. Not much data here except 25 inches at Suring. Almost done here. 25 inches at Upson on the 15th. 20 inches at Two Rivers. 10 inches at Viroqua on the 16th. Three more left. 26 inches at Wasau on the 15th. A lot of data missing for page 35. And the last page, 22 inches at Wisconsin Rapids Grand. 13 inches at Wisconsin Dells, the place with the big water parks. 13 inches on the 16th of March. Here again is the data for the last 72 hours. There was 36 inches in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The dark red here at the top. the size not nearly as big as in the previous video at the national level. For 72 hours, 48 hours, negligible. Not much going on, and 24 hours, petered out. And then currently here at AccuWeather, and this is NOAA, and this is also NOAA, but this is AccuWeather, 6:55 p.m. So, if anyone wants to know the weather for mid-March 2026, there are now two videos up showing very large amounts of snowfall in some areas. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for your time.